first shift before you leave, as well as next weekend. Matt and I will be taking names down for that to help. Matt's in the back here.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, how are you?
So, just to get them on the road, we're gonna give them a little time to speak. We've been doing a lot of phoning for you guys, and it's imperative that Southern Minnesota turns out,
Yes.
because we could be the difference in this primary this year. It is a close one, and we could finally have a say in who wins this primary. So, someone we know from our own area, and someone else who has a lot of ties down here too, and has been a great addition to the ticket from day one back in, gosh, almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give some time to our next governor and lieutenant governor, Tim and Peggy.
Hey, folks. So I'm Peggy Flanagan. I'm a Flanagan of the Walz Flanagan ticket. I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. This is super fun as we're getting ready to head into get out the vote, and having all of you here means so much. So I have known Tim for, 13 years? Lucky 13. I first met Tim when he was one of my campers at Camp Wellstone. And I worked for Wellstone Action for almost a decade. And so one of my first trainings that I actually did, Tim was my camper, and he came in and he said, "Hey, I'm Tim, and I want to run for Congress in the 1st Congressional District." And we were like, "Are you a Democrat?" Okay, good luck with that. By the end of the weekend, I was like, this guy is amazing. He's a teacher, he's a coach to the state champs, and if you talk to Tim for more than 2 minutes, you know that. And he's a command sergeant major in the Army National Guard. And that was all I needed to know. Really, the thing that's so great about Tim, and for the folks in this room who are his former students, or the children of his former students, what you know about Tim is that he sees the full potential in people. He sees the full potential in the students in his classroom, the full potential in the folks that he served with, and the full potential of the students on the field. And so for me, I also feel like, to be honest, I think Tim saw the full potential in me and in this partnership. And that really means something. So, what we have is a coach, a teacher, a command sergeant major, and someone who sees the full potential in Minnesota and what we can do together. This was a decision for us to run. It wasn't made a week before the convention. It wasn't made 24 hours before the filing deadline. We've been doing this together for almost a year.
Yeah.
And what that means is that someone who grew up in a low-income family, an indigenous woman, a person of color, and someone who grew up in a rural community, who's a teacher in southern Minnesota, that our powers combined, we believe that it truly is one Minnesota. And that message has been resonating with folks all across the state. And we think as you're going out and you're talking to folks and knocking on doors and making calls today, that you're going to hear the same thing. So we are so grateful that you are here, and I get to do what is the best part of my job on this campaign, which is to, and it's because you all are sitting at tables, let's do this. Did you drum roll? All right, so I'm going to introduce to you the next governor of the state of Minnesota.
Talk about this partnership. Those of you of a certain age might get this reference. The Wonder Twin Powers unite. Some of you of a certain age on Saturday morning cartoons. So thank you all. Thank you for coming out here. Thank you for coming out here for Minnesota. That's why you're here. There's so many people in this room that have played such a big part in my life. As mentors, as friends, as neighbors, as students, as fellow teachers, just so many people in here. And it shaped my belief of what politics is about. It's about community, and it's about working for that better future together. And I think that whole shaping of me in the community, the way that we invest here, the way Minnesota has thought about what the future should look like, brought Peggy and I together in the same way. She is absolutely fantastic. I think the leadership, and she's telling something. I went to that Wellstone Action Trading in January of 2005, and I didn't know what to do, and I'd never given a political speech and hadn't been around came home that first night of that training, and I told Wynn, I said, I know this is the right decision. I now know why this is about not worrying about speeches or about what other things said or about you don't know. It's about listening to people about their hopes and dreams and fears and fixing that. And that was conveyed to me because I told Wynn, I said, I saw the most wonderful leader. I saw someone, I think she'll be president someday. It turned out it was Peggy Flanagan who's there. So I still hold that belief. I think she will be someday. So, but to all of you, we're grateful. We're now down to 10 days. This is where we get the opportunity to show that politics is something bigger than all of us. I listened to, some of you were talking, Jim, you were talking about this. I listened to a GOP debate on the radio. That is not what Minnesota looks like. That is not what Minnesota sounds like. It is not about calling names. It is not about trying to figure out who can out something the other person. It's figuring out what our job is to build coalitions, to put people at the table who are most impacted by the decisions we make and make sure they have a voice. That's what the role is. That's one Minnesota. That's uniting us together in a way that finds these new coalitions and doesn't allow them to divide us. So we have work to do, we know. We know what happens in a primary. We fully expect they start to divide a little bit, they start to pull us apart. This is when people are ready to be brought back together, to see something inspirational, to believe that these campaigns are not just about the candidates, they're about their lives, that it matters to them when they go to the polls. I'm not just casting that. And I think we give a ticket that allows people to go and cast that vote proudly, that we're going to vote for something that includes us, we're going to vote for a team that's worked for us, we're going to make a difference in this. And as Peggy said, this will come down and it will be very close. Name recognition matters, and it's hard across the state, and I said it's always grateful to be back home in a room where I'm at, but tonight I'll be up in Cloquet, and there'll be people who say, who are you? And I'll tell them, they say, what do you do? What are you running for? But that's part of the job. So these phone calls you're making, it's part of that, of telling them. It's about letting them know that it matters if they come out. So we're looking forward to it. Our pledge through this whole campaign is to work hard, to make you proud to support this ticket, to understand that there was much to learn. And I say this, that we built a ticket on complementary strengths and needs, and I am grateful over the course of this, is that Peggy's influence has helped me move on issues, has helped me see things differently, and I hope that works both ways. I said it's gratifying to me, because I heard Peggy talking on the other phone, talking about, she says to a dairy farmer and says, you can't make it at 15 a hundredweight, I know that. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Now we're talking farm here in a really deep way, but it mattered to them. And so we're grateful. I would say this, Hope, you got to hear this, just because Hope being engaged. My daughter Hope is back here. Hope's very excited in watching all this, and she's very excited about this race, but I watched yesterday, she was getting online, she was buying a t-shirt, not mine. It wasn't mine she was buying. She was buying Beto O'Rourke's t-shirt, so we got some folks from Texas here. Beto for Senate. So Beto O'Rourke's going to beat Ted Cruz, so there's all kinds of things happening. So on behalf of, Gwen is here, Peggy, our whole family, Gwen, thank you. We've got elected officials. Jack Considine is back here. We're going to have a new elected official. Jim, stand there. Let them see you. Who else we got here? Colleen Landcamer is here, who... I don't know what. Avi Sabri, thank you. It feels like with Colleen Landcamer that like Colleen's going to run for something. Okay, she can have that because she's so good at what she does. She is just going to do a great job. So I don't want to sell short. We got to do our work and work hard. But I said, so many of you in this room have been mentors to me that I'm really grateful for it. So here's what I say. We got 10 days. We got a positive campaign going. We have more media on all areas out in there, and I hope you've seen them. They're positive ads. And again, I want to be very clear. Calling out the failings of the former governor is exactly what we need to be doing, because I am not going to put teachers back in those classrooms with Tim Pawlenty as governor, ever. That is my goal. So when you're on the phone and you're asking and people are wondering, why does it matter? It matters to their future. Think of their children, think of their grandchildren. Think of a Minnesota where our politics are hopeful, inspirational, positive, not name-calling, and inclusive of everyone in there. So 10 days, our pledge our motto for the next 10 days is, we'll sleep when we're dead. So we'll be all across the state, ending in Duluth tonight, and I would like to end with this. If some of you did not see it, the Duluth News Tribune was very clear. This is the ticket to Unite Minnesota. Vote Walz. Thank you. Let's do it. Here's our organizers who's signing up. We have DOTP shifts. Get out the vote efforts that need to be filled. Just so you all know, we'll be back to see you, and we'll be working in here together as we do this, helping everyone. But we're going to ride a school bus the last 3 days of this campaign. So when you see the yellow school bus this time, that's us going around. So thank you all.
Thank you so much,
Thanks, guys.
everybody.
How are these? Thank you all. Let's get this done. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.